on love. We're bound to be. Made a promise to ourselves. Be braver than 20 million soldiers in the world tonight. But tell me the feeling. Are we ever gonna be here again? How do you know?
Get this bad boy on. Ooh. How we looking? We are finally back. Since my last video, which was a little while ago, apologies for that. I've been away, I've been on holiday, I've also been ill. There's been Christmas, New Year, lots of stuff going on, which meant that I didn't record a YouTube video. But now we're back, we're into 2023. I hope you all had an amazing Christmas, amazing New Year. As a disclaimer, before I get into all of these details, I do not condone the use of steroids. 99.99% of you guys watching should not even consider taking steroids, and I'm not just saying that for the sake of being good and putting a disclaimer out. Like, this is me being honest, this is me having done years of research. This is not me creating these videos to encourage the use of steroids. This is me creating these videos to educate and entertain only. This is just me documenting my own journey and hopefully trying to kind of give you guys some knowledge around the subject so you can hopefully make a smart decision on your own journey. And that is the disclaimer over. Back to when it's not quite as dark outside and my room's nice and bright. So I've been taking steroids for about 18 weeks now, but we are going to be going over my 4-month steroid experience. So everything that I personally experienced from being on steroids for 4 months, so 16 weeks. So it is another 8 weeks on top of my previous video. If you haven't watched that already, go check it out. This one right here, my 8-week steroid experience. So this is a further 2 months on. Everything that I've noticed, everything that's changed, and just trying to give you guys a comprehensive review of my full experience, my progress in the gym, my progress outside of the gym, any side effects that might have come in now, might have got a bit worse, and obviously the plan moving forward for the next couple of weeks. So jumping straight in, anabolics. We are currently still on 200 milligrams of testosterone enanthate per week. So that is split into 3 shots of 66.6 milligrams per shot. The dose of oil that I'm using, so testosterone enanthate is the hormone which is displaced in an oil which you then inject. You can't just inject pure testosterone enanthate, it needs to be put into and contained in an oil, in a substance. So the strength of the oil that I get, which is in those little vials that you saw at the start of this video, is 300 milligrams per milliliter of oil. So per milliliter of oil and liquid that you get out, there is 300 milligrams of testosterone enanthate in that 1 milliliter shot. Okay, so if you do a bit of math, bit of quick math, if I'm trying to get 200 milligrams, okay, that means per week I need 2/3 of a milliliter of that liquid. Okay, so then you divide 2/3, which is 66.6, not 66.6, 0.66 milliliters I need per week of that strength oil. So I divide that into 3, which is 0.22 milliliters per shot, and then I do that 3 times a week on Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And the reason I split it up over 3 shots is to keep my blood serum concentrations reasonably stable. One thing I haven't mentioned before though is what equipment I'm using. So I am using a 0.5 inch insulin needle with a 1 milliliter syringe. So I'm buying these all as one. I'm not buying the removable needles. Okay, this is all just a needle and syringe all attached together. Okay, it is an insulin needle, so it's not very big, and it's also the thinnest possible needle you can get. Actually, I think there is 1 gauge higher, because I think the ones that I use are 29 gauge. I think you can get 30 gauge needles, but yeah, basically I've got 29 gauge, which are basically almost the thinnest needle you can use to inject anything. And then yeah, a 1 milliliter barrel, which essentially just means that's just how much the syringe itself can contain, and technically how much you can inject all in one go. You can get smaller barrels, you can get bigger barrels. It depends how much stuff you're wanting to take, and I guess your preference really. So going into some statistics, so my weight started off on week 1, we started off at 83.7 kilos, and at week 16 we are around 89 kilos. Obviously weight fluctuates day to day due to lots of different factors, but we're around that 89 kilo mark. Condition itself seems to be holding pretty well. I don't really think I've put on much body fat at all, which suggests a large portion of that weight increase could be lean muscle tissue. Obviously with the increased androgens, so androgens is testosterone essentially, so the more testosterone you have in your body, the more that converts to estrogen, and a combination of those things can basically cause more water retention. So obviously some of that is going to be water retention, that weight increase, some of that will be from just retaining more water because I have more hormones cycling around my body. But inevitably, obviously, I will have made some pretty decent muscle gains as well, and that is quite clear from my progress pictures, which if you haven't seen already, go give me a follow on Instagram. I post all of my updates, pretty much weekly physique updates and kind of comparisons as my journey is going on. I'm trying to document that as best as possible. Obviously I also post other content as well, but go and check it out on my page. So I'm just going to put the week 1 pictures here, and the week 16 pictures here, and kind of flick through them, flick through the different poses so you can kind of see the comparisons, and then you can see obviously the difference in potential, the amount of muscle that you feel like I might have achieved, just so you can get a bit of like a visual representation of the changes over that time visually, specifically. Nothing to do with performance, but purely visually. So here are the pictures here. Give it a couple more seconds to flick through. If you want, pause it and you can check out the kind of pictures in a bit more detail, and we'll get rid of them. So in terms of my nutrition, obviously nutrition is an incredibly important part of a gaining phase. You need to make sure you're escalating your calories appropriately, not rushing it too much, but also not escalating your food. It's very important to making sure you're staying in some sort of a calorific surplus. So week 1, my calories were at 3,000 calories on training days and 2,800 on rest days. Obviously on rest days we're expending a little bit less energy, so we don't need quite as much food to fuel the body, which is why we have slightly less calories on those days. And then now at week 16, my calories are up to 4,200 training days and 3,800 rest days. So obviously over that 16-week period, we have pushed food up by over 1,000 calories, okay, each day, every single day, consuming over 1,000 calories more, and that is due to obviously gaining that muscle tissue. So muscle tissue itself is metabolically demanding, so the more muscle you have, the faster your metabolism is going to work, the more food your body is going to need just to function day to day, which is why as you gain muscle and as you gain lean tissue, not body fat, okay, so body fat is not metabolically demanding, so if you gain body fat, your metabolism is not going to go up, okay, but if you gain muscle tissue specifically, your metabolism is going to speed up, which basically means you can eat more food, or you need to eat more food to stay in a surplus, which is why there has been such a pretty drastic increase over the course of 16 weeks, but in the grand scheme of things, that has been quite patient with moving food up in order to keep composition in a good place. There's other factors that come into speeding up metabolism as well, but that is a complete segue for another video. So in terms of my strength, what have my specific numbers been from week 1 to week 16? So on leg press, so on week 1, I was hitting 6 plates for 15 reps on the Cybex leg press. I'll put a little picture of it right here so you know what type of leg press it is. And that is 6 45-pound plates, by the way, guys. So obviously 45 pounds is 22.5 kilos, just in case you want to kind of translate that over to kilos. So 6 plates for 15 reps, which is my first working set on leg press. I do 12 to 15. first working set. And then the second 2 sets are slightly lower reps, 6 to 8 rep range. And for the second set, week 1, I was getting 7 plates for 6 reps. And then week 16, set 1, we're now getting 6 plates and a 35 for 15 reps. And then for the second set, slightly lower rep set, we are getting 7 plates and a 25 for 8 reps. However, guys, bear in mind, I'm not exactly sure when I got this knee injury, but I've been struggling with a bit of quadricep tendonitis for the past probably 2 months, I would say, at the moment. So these numbers are not actually from week 16 because I haven't been able to train quads all the way up to week 16. It's probably around about the 10-week mark that I got this injury. So that is essentially my progress on leg press from week 1 to 10 rather than week 1 to 16. So just something to take into account. It's not quite better yet, but it's definitely getting there, and we should be back to full leg training very soon. So in terms of the things that have been all the way through from week 1 to week 16, so we've got incline machine press, which I'll put a little video of here so you guys know what movement I'm talking about. So week 1, we were getting 2 plates and a 35-pound plate for 7 reps. Week 16, we're getting 3 plates plus a 10-pound plate for 5 reps. Then on high incline reverse band Smith press, so week 1, we were getting 1 plate and a 25-pound plate for 8 reps. And then week 16, we are now getting 2 plates for 7 reps. And that is 2 plates on each side, by the way, just in case you're wondering, it's not 1 plate on each side. On the incline Smith machine press, reverse banded once again, week 1, I was getting 2 plates for 7 reps. And week 16, I was getting 2 plates and 20 pounds for 5 reps. On the Cybex row, we were getting 9 pins on the stack. I don't know exactly what that is in kilos or pounds, for just about 8 reps. So I always note down in my diary, in my logbook, if I really struggle on that last rep or if it's quite a solid last rep. So that is what I achieved on week 1, so just about 8 reps on 9 pins. And then week 16, we are hitting 12 pins for 8 reps solidly. And now onto hack squat. Once again, this is only really progressions from kind of week 1 to about week 10 up until I got my quadricep tendonitis. And one thing I do want to note actually is during that time period, the gym changed the hack squat, and the hack squat that the gym had earlier on at week 1 was actually a slightly lighter, slightly easier hack squat, but now they've changed to the new Cybex hack squat, which is actually a lot heavier in terms of if you put the same amount of weight on both machines, it would feel a lot heavier on the one we have now than the one we had before. Okay, so just something to take into account as well. Obviously, that is almost an extra progression on top of any weight added. Okay, so on the old hack squat, the easier one, we were getting 3.5 plates for 5 reps, and on the new hack squat, the heavier one, we're getting 3 plates and 35-pound plates on each side. So just a little bit more. So rather than 3.5 plates on each side, we're having 3 3/4 plates on each side, and we are getting that for 6 reps. But bear in mind, week 1 to 10, and also the transition from the easier, lighter hack squat to the heavier hack squat. So that's pretty much the main compound lifts, kind of going through chest, shoulder, back, and leg, all of the kind of covering all of the different muscle groups in terms of the progression. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of the strength progression specifically. Nothing crazy, as you can see by the results, and this is what I want you guys to realize, is that it's not just a magic pill. And yes, obviously I could take more and get inevitably better strength gains, better physique gains, but with that comes a risk of health, a further risk of health, also much higher risk of side effects coming up. It's obviously more of a financial investment, and in my opinion, it's just not a smart way to do things from going from 0 to 100. I'd much prefer to start off minimum effective dose and work my way up slowly and get the most progress possible out of the least amount of drugs, okay, with the least detriment to my health inevitably. So visually, as you saw by the pictures, delts, traps, arms, chest, legs, all looking thicker visually from the pictures. Also, I have obviously noticed, looking at myself, I feel and I look thicker in the mirror. I look like I have put on muscle, especially kind of in the more noticeable regions that when you're looking in the mirror straight on are going to be easier to notice in that sense, in sense of like the shoulders, because they're kind of just going to grow outwards. It's a lot easier to notice your shoulders growing than, for example, maybe your abdominal muscles growing. So yeah, overall I definitely have noticed gains. Nothing, once again, nothing too crazy, but I have noticed myself getting thicker, feeling a bit bigger, looking a little bit bigger as well. But once again, nothing crazy. So in terms of my energy levels, there has been no noticeable difference from week 8 to week 16. Obviously, I moved from 100, I started off at 150 milligrams of testosterone and anthate up to about week 5. Then after week 5, we transitioned to 200 milligrams, and we have been at 200 milligrams ever since. And from that transition and all the way up until now, I've not noticed any changes, any noticeable significant changes in energy levels. So they have pretty much stayed the same, which is at a good level. And if you watch my 8-week update, I kind of go over how that was something I did notice initially, is kind of slightly increased energy levels, slightly increased kind of drive, motivation, so on and so forth, but that has just maintained. It's not continued to go up. Sex drive is still the same. Once again, no noticeable difference at all. Performance in the gym, once again, no noticeable difference in terms of progressing faster week 16 than I was week 8. Acne, still pretty much the same. No huge breakouts. It may have got slightly worse at points, but honestly, I don't think that's because of the anabolics. I think that's potentially because of going away, of kind of changing a bit of maybe the usual food I'm eating, and also metformin, which is something that I'm taking alongside the anabolics. I believe I read somewhere it actually does help with acne a bit, and there was a period of time when I stopped taking it because I just wanted to kind of do a little bit of an experiment. I'll go into that in another video, but I basically stopped taking it for a couple of weeks, and potentially during that time I did notice a marginal difference in acne, in terms of a little bit more acne, but that potentially could have just been because I wasn't taking the metformin, whereas before I was. Post injection pain, so still once again very manageable. Since moving to adding in the shoulder injections as well as the ventro-glute injections, there's been no issues with having lasting post injection pain, to the point where when I'm coming around to the same site again and having to do another injection in that same place, there's no pain there at all anymore, and it's completely feels like it's healed, no issues. So yeah, the 4 rotational sites is working really well so far. Also, since week 8, I haven't really noticed kind of any huge changes in feeling fuller, in better pumps in the gym. I feel like it's been pretty consistent since week 8, and I feel like from week 1 to 8 I definitely noticed bigger changes, obviously coming on to the cycle, quote unquote, rather than kind of now maintaining from week 8 to week 16. I haven't really noticed any further leaps and jumps in how I'm feeling, how I'm looking, and my performance in general in terms of the rate of progression. One thing that I didn't touch on last video is testicular atrophy. So this is something that I don't think I've really noticed. If you guys don't know, the role of your testicles is to obviously produce your natural testosterone. So if you are administering the testosterone exogenously, which basically means taking it and injecting yourself with it rather than having it produced naturally, your body has no reason to produce its own natural production anymore, which is why essentially it's common, and for most people they will get testicular atrophy. They won't always get it, and it doesn't happen in everyone, but it's quite a common thing because your testicles don't need to work anymore essentially, so they shut down and they atrophy. Obviously when it comes to the point of trying to PCT, which is post-cycle therapy, and basically if you come to a point where you want to stop taking steroids and you want to bring your natural production back, which is perfectly possible, you just need to take the right approach and give it time, then that will reverse. So your testicles will basically just go back to normal, assuming you are able to get your natural production back, which for some people, if they take the wrong approach or they do stupid things, might not be a possibility. But for most people, as long as you take the right approach, then you should be able to get your natural production back on track. So that is pretty much all the changes so far, all the things I've noticed, all the details, and as much detail as I can think of, and just kind of go through what the plan is now for the next couple of weeks. Obviously I'll keep doing these update videos because I think it's good to kind of give reasonably regular updates to update you guys on the changes since the last update, everything I've noticed, to kind of give you guys the most realistic, honest, detailed description of this journey that I'm putting myself through, so you guys can obviously hopefully educate yourself a bit, maybe realize that steroids are not a magic pill, and hopefully kind of, if anything, warn you guys off it, because 99.9% of people should not be taking steroids. It's not needed to achieve most people's goals, which they think it is. But in fact, you just need to take the right approach with your training, nutrition, lifestyle, and you can achieve incredible things with your physique naturally. And obviously you need to give it time, give it patience. But people think taking steroids, oh yeah, I'm just going to turn into a Greek god physique. I'm just going to get a Greek god physique within a couple months. And it does not work like that, guys, unfortunately. And also, alongside that not working and you realizing that after blasting yourself with very harmful drugs for a couple months or even years, one, you're going to realize you're not just going to achieve that physique like that, and two, you're also probably going to run into a ton of side effects that may be permanent, may cause massive long-term damage, may shorten your life quite significantly. Three, it's going to be a financial investment. You're going to be paying money for this stuff. It doesn't come for free, doesn't come cheap either, a lot of it. And lastly, you're going to be shutting yourself down. So if you want maybe kids in the future and you don't take the right approach, you don't take the right PCT approach, and you just kind of are uneducated around what you're doing and you just jump headfirst into it, you could end up making yourself infertile permanently. It is a possibility. Yeah, there's most people, I promise you guys, most people out there who are taking steroids don't really know what they're doing. They're just going off bro science. They're just going off what their mate told them or what their dealer told them, and they end up screwing themselves up, which is why I think a lot of bad stigma is around steroids, is because a large portion of the time people don't take a sensible approach, unfortunately, which can lead to death, can lead to horrible side effects, horrible things happening. Yeah, just turning them into horrible people, which is obviously not good for anyone, and I think is where a lot of the bad stigma comes from, which is what I am trying to dispel. I'm not trying to glamorize steroids because I don't think that is a good thing either, but I'm trying to kind of give people the most honest representation of it and show them what steroids really do, who should be taking them, and how most people should not be making that decision, and just kind of document my process so you guys can hopefully learn a bit more and hopefully find it a bit entertaining as well. So moving forward for the next couple of weeks, we will be getting my blood work done, which I'm getting done tomorrow. There will be a video out on my blood work results. We will be checking everything is in a good spot, including my health markers. It will also just be interesting for us to find out where my testosterone levels are at the moment on the amount of testosterone I'm taking. And assuming all my health markers are in a good spot and we're happy to continue, then the dose will then finally be titrated up to 250 milligrams, and we'll just continue the push. Nice and patient. No, we're not going to be rushing up and jump into 400 milligrams straight away. Just another 50 milligrams in, and then yeah, pretty much rinse and repeat. Keep on ticking the boxes, keep on training hard, eating well, hitting all my lifestyle factors as well, sleeping well, keeping stress low, get my steps in, all ticking the boxes every single day, guys, which is what it takes at the end of the day. Like, you can't half-ass this stuff if you want to take it seriously. If you want to try and turn pro, you've got to tick the boxes, you've got to put the work in. So guys, that is the end of the video. I hope you guys appreciate the honesty with everything. I'm not shy of talking about any side effects or anything. That is genuinely my whole experience so far. And yeah, nothing crazy. Don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please sling it a like down below. It helps me out massively, and consider subscribing if you guys want to see more videos from me. And don't forget to turn on the bell notifications, because then you will be alerted every single time I post a new video. And please, guys, as well, comment down below. I read and respond to every single comment, assuming they are not some bot that says, oh, single ladies near you, please click this link and then you can find a girlfriend. I won't respond to them, but I'll respond to all of the normal comments from actual human beings. That is all from me today, guys. I hope wherever you are and whatever time of day it is, you are having a sick one, and I will speak to you guys in the next one.